Mr. President,
Senator from Oklahoma.
this is Senate currently in a quorum call.
We are not.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, this body disagrees on a lot of things. A lot. But we should have at least one thing we can agree on. It's pretty simple. Kids are different. You get 3 kids in a room, and all 3 of those kids are very, very different. I know I have 2 daughters, and they're different. Love them both deeply, but they're very different. And I find that in a lot of different families. Students and kids are different. Okay, one kid likes football, one kid likes baseball. Another kid doesn't like any sports at all. One likes the band, one likes choir, one likes drama. One doesn't like any clubs at all. One's in Latin club and another's in a chess club, and the other one thinks chess club is dorky. Okay, you know why? Because people are different. That seems very normal for us to be able to think about that most basic thing, that not everyone is the same and not everyone chooses the same things that they like or has the same needs. But sometimes when we get into school, we'll say, oh, no, but they all need to go to the same school. I just disagree. In America this week, this is actually School Choice Week. And some people may or may not even track that, and that's fine. There's a week designated for everything across the country. But in Oklahoma, we've really prioritized the ability for every family to be able to make their own choices for education for their kids. We have strong homeschooling, we have strong private schools, we have strong public charter schools, and we have public education. All of them are important to us, and all of them provide different options for families. Now, we've still got a long way to go in education in Oklahoma. We're investing more and more and more into education, and I'm proud of our state legislatures prioritizing in this coming session reading for early childhood education and to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do to improve our public education. But in the meantime, we want to continue to provide options to every single family and to every single kid to be able to make sure that the best education environment is out there for that particular child. Because we want every child to be able to thrive in America. And we want every child to be able to have the opportunities that they need to be able to be successful in the days ahead. And that starts with a great education. Quite frankly, some of our districts are doing not as well as others. Some are doing great. Some are struggling. I don't want a single family in my state, though, to have to think my kids have to go to a certain school because of the zip code that I live in, and that's the only option. Quite frankly, I don't even want that for families to say every one of my kids has to go to the same school, because sometimes that just doesn't work the same. Now, I've heard some folks that are very passionate about public education, which, by the way, I am too. My mom was a lifelong public school educator. My degree was in secondary education. My family's very, very involved in education, and I'm very passionate about public education. I think it's vitally important that we do it, and we do it very, very well. But I want to make it very clear for all the folks that I meet that say, if you'll just give us a couple more years, this will improve. Give us a couple more dollars and a couple more semesters, and this will get better for this particular school. I want to remind them that the kid growing up next to that school doesn't have a couple more years. It has to be right now for them. They can't wait till things get better. They only have today. So that's why school choice is so incredibly important, that every family and that every kid has the options to be able to get a better education, or to get an education that exactly fits them best. That works better. This past July, we passed the Historic Working Families Tax Cut Act. And in that act, we did a lot of investment in education. We expanded the 529 savings accounts to allow more parents to be able to set aside funding for private education if they choose to do that, and put that in their 529 so it could grow tax-free. We invested more into Pell grants and expanded the growth of Pell grants. Now, you may say, why does that matter for K through 12? Well, Pell grants have been really targeted towards institutions that do what's called terminal degrees. So if you're a kid in poverty and you want to get a degree in philosophy, we would help you do that. But if you're a kid in poverty and you want to get a certification in welding or in plumbing or in carpentry or as a truck driver, we would say, you're on your own. Well, what in the world? For years, we've been fighting this to be able to say, if we're going to help somebody, give them more options than just a 4-year degree. If they want to do certification programs to be able to get into a vocation faster, why wouldn't we help them do that to be able to rise out of poverty? We fixed that in the Working Families Tax Cut Act to expand the use of Pell Grants so that more individuals that are in poverty can get access to education that helps them get to a job even faster. We actually reversed some changes that were done in the FAFSA, and I'm not even going into all the issues of the FAFSA and for getting into higher education, but it actually blocked out kids from agricultural families because of the land and the equipment that they own. They may be land rich, but they're often cash poor, but they were still blocked out of getting federal assistance, getting higher education. We finally fixed that. There's a lot of other areas we fixed, but we also set up a new program where individuals could actually give to school choice for other families that they'll probably never ever meet, to be able to help them in the days ahead, be able to get an option for private education when they couldn't get there. I have folks that catch me on this occasionally and will say, you talk about school choice all the time and the different options on things. Do you just hate public education, or why is this such a big deal to you? And I smile at them and remind them of my mom and of my own past, that I'm very, very passionate about public education. And we need to make sure we're investing in doing that well. But if I have a quiet moment with folks when they say to me, why do you care so much about school choice? I'll tell them there's 2 reasons. One is my state cares about this a lot. Our homeschool programs, our programs for private education, we have thriving, great public charter schools, and we have a lot of great districts around. But many of our districts, even according to our state law, even in our public education in Oklahoma, you can choose from one district to another district, even if you don't live in that zip code for that district. So that you even get school choice in Oklahoma, even in public education. It's a big deal to us. But it's a big deal to me personally because I personally experienced it. You see, my mom, single mom, public educator, did not make much, had a time when I was in elementary school, and so was my brother, that education was not working for us. And so my single mom sacrificed everything for my brother and I to go to private school. Now, I went to private school for 2 years, and then she ran out of money. My brother continued on for a while, but I went back into public schools, which no complaint there. But I watched even in my own family my mom say, I wish we had different options. And as a public school educator, single mom, she made the hard call to say, I've got to figure out a better place because my kids will only get one shot at education. And it's got to count. I could not tell you how grateful I am for my mom and the sacrifices that she made for my brother and I, because it made all the difference for us. But it's because she made a choice where you would have looked at her and said, she has no choice. She figured it out. And we all sacrificed a lot, but education was just that important to her. I don't want that to just be for my family. I want that option for every family. I want the option for every kid to have the opportunity to get the best possible education for who they are. Because my brother and I love him, but we could not be more different because we're 2 different kids, just like a lot of other families. So please don't say every kid has to do education exactly the same way when we all know every kid is different. So why don't we give families the option to choose what's the best education environment for that particular kid and to allow them to thrive in the days ahead. I think that's better for kids, to allow them to have the choice and for every family to get that choice as well. Mr. President, I yield the floor.